Hi, I'm Max.
Hi, and I'm Denise.
And welcome back to another edition of Urban Lifestyles. And this year is getting off to a fast start. We had our first grandchild.
Yes.
And we just finished the first in the series of Destination Smooth Jazz on Valentine's Day, and it was phenomenal. We're going to be talking about MSD.
Yes.
And we also had an opportunity to talk with a lady who has a fantastic story about her association with the Divine Nine. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Show is the best that there is. Period.
Yeah, don't you make me.
Oh, I ain't working around. We are here as usual.
That's too much. This the one.
We right here.
You wake up and catch me from 6 to 10 on your number one station for R&B, Magic 101.
So Denise, you got the opportunity to catch up with MSD. So tell us what's going on.
As usual, with MSD, they provide the essentials for our community. I learned so much, and I'm so glad we have the opportunity to share it out with the community. So on that note, let's just take a look.
Well, I'm here with MSD's Chief Procurement Officer, Renee Lindsay, and Executive Director, Tony Parrott, to talk about the annual Can You Dig It event at the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage. First of all, it's great catching up with you all. This is something we enjoy covering every year. And so, Renee, I'm going to start with you. What is Can You Dig It?
This is our 11th annual Can You Dig It? This event is an opportunity for MSD to share its program of work for the year, which allows our contracting community to be prepared for the work that is coming out this year. So this is essentially a way to plan and a way to outreach for these companies to connect with each other and find out about our opportunities.
So, Renee, who's eligible to work with MSD and Can You Dig through this process?
Anyone is eligible to work with MSD. As long as you are registered with the Secretary of State, you can work with MSD. So we encourage anyone who can provide the types of goods and services that MSD requires to register with us, because we're looking to expand our pool of contractors and consultants that are working with us. So definitely ask for them to come our way.
So, Tony, when you talk about Can You Dig It, why is it so important to MSD?
Well, it's important because, MSD makes so much investment into our community. For example, our fiscal year capital plan is approximately $321 million. And so when you think about that investment, we want to share the business. And so from the very beginning, we have been investing our time to make sure we're creating opportunities for small businesses, women-owned businesses, and minority-owned businesses, so that they have opportunities to meet prime contractors and get a pathway to be able to do work for MSD.
And Tony, when I think of MSD, I know you all are everywhere, you're doing everything, so I know there has to be something else you want to talk about.
Well, as I said, from the very beginning, we've always invested in our small, minority, and women-owned businesses. For fiscal year 25, we spent over $76 million with small, women-owned, and minority-owned businesses. In the last 5 years, we've spent over $198 million with those same businesses. And so it's important that we continue to understand the value that brings locally. We believe in what I call the 3 C's, compassion, collaboration, and care. And we know the climate, in DC is going to require us to maybe modify or pivot some of the things that we do, but we still have the same value system. And we're still going to open up those avenues for opportunities for small businesses, minority-owned businesses, and for businesses that want to do business with MSD. It's very important to us, and we know that it brings value, it creates jobs, it allows businesses to grow, and it creates local capacity that not only MSD can tap, but other government agencies and businesses can tap it as well.
You all do such great work in the community, and of course it shows up all across the community. And if someone wasn't able to get here today and they want to figure out how to get in touch with you all, how do they do that?
They visit our website, louisvillemsd.org, and find out how to do business with MSD. We have a bi-monthly session on doing business with MSD. It's virtual, so anybody that's interested in learning more about our opportunities and how to work with us, our website is the place to go.
You know, it's always great to see the great work that they do in the community. And I don't think there's any part of this city that they don't touch and make it better.
That's why I'm so glad that some people, viewers, thank you for coming up and sharing with me that you're learning a lot in regards to what MSD provides for us and the positive impact that it has for us. So this is just another wave and a level that we get to learn and to appreciate.
And thank you so much for your partnership. We'll take another break and we'll be right back.
The morning ride. Let's go! Because you won't want to get out of the car when the Streets Morning Takeover is on the Bill's #1 for hip-hop.
Early in the morning.
Well, we had an opportunity to catch up with two phenomenal artists that participated in Destination Smooth Jazz. And the first one we're going to talk about is Johnny Britt. We've known him for a long time, and to get him back here to the city was just remarkable, wouldn't you say?
And I learned a lot about Johnny that I did not know, but we'll find out more. Let's just take a look.
With Johnny Britt, and it's been many years since he and I have been together, but we've known each other a very long time. He's a trumpeter and a phenomenal vocalist, and we're so happy to have him back in Louisville, Kentucky for Destination Smooth Jazz Series. Johnny, welcome back. And as I was saying at the top, Denise and I always do this thing we call 10 questions in 5 minutes, and normally I supersede her in terms of getting the questions answered. So I've got some questions I'm going to shoot at you. Feel free to answer what you can. So first of all, when did you know the music was going to be your career?
Well, as you know, I was born here in Louisville, Kentucky, at General Hospital, by the way. I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio. But I just knew at a young age that music was inside of me. We went to a church at my uncle's church called the House of God in Cleveland. And all this is in my book. I have a book called The Soloist, which I'll be selling tonight. And so I knew that I had the voice, and I started playing trumpet with Arsenio Hall, actually. And played trumpet there, and I knew that I kind of had it. I became first trumpet player. And, with my mom and the music and jazz all around, I just gravitated to it, and I knew this is what I wanted to do.
So that was pretty much my second question. How did you know what instrument that was going to be, your ticket to success?
That's a really crazy question. When I was in the 6th grade, I'll never forget this, the music teacher passed out a sheet of paper with instruments on it. And I thought that the trombone was too awkward because it had a slide, and she had the clarinet. And I said, man, this has too many valves. I can never figure that out. But the trumpet had 3 valves. And I said, it can't be that hard. And that's the one. And that's the most difficult instrument to play. So I love the trumpet, actually. Yeah.
So what was it like the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
Wow, it was great. I'm from the group Impromptu, and we're signed to Motown Jazz Records. So I would probably say that was the first time. Of course, I'm hearing all of my solo stuff on the radio now, on watercolors or everything. But this whole thing has been a rush, because I've been invited to the White House. I've sang at the White House. I've sang at the Olympics. I just received the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award in 2023. And, to hear the songs on the radio and have people, your family and friends call you and say, Johnny, I just heard you on the radio. It is such a rush. And every time I hear myself on the radio, it does not get old. So, it's just a great feeling, to hear your music on the radio.
So where does your inspiration come from when you're composing for like a particular song or for a CD? How do you get to that point?
Life is inspiration for me. Whatever I'm going through, life, that's my inspiration, and I'm very gifted as a songwriter. Of course, I produce and write all of my stuff, but, it just flows from me. I don't necessarily need anything in particular, but, it could be some stuff on the news, some stuff I'm going through with my wife, some stuff I'm going through with my children. Matter of fact, I wrote this very special song that I'm doing tonight. And it's a mental health social change song called C'est la vie. And I wrote that for my daughter because she battled with a mental health disorder. And so that was an inspiration. I wrote this song, and now it's getting national attention. We were up for the Billboard Harry Belafonte Social Change Award And we didn't win that. A song called Ice Cream Man won. But in any case, I get inspiration from life.
Do you ever get tired of being on the road?
I don't live on the road, first of all, because I'm a writer and producer, so I spend a lot of time in Los Angeles writing and composing. You know, I do music for film and television as well. But every time I do get a chance to perform, I just came back from the London Jazz Festival. I just played North Carolina last year, was on a 58-city tour last year. I absolutely love it. I think out of everything that I do, performing in front of an audience is the best for me because it's right there and people tell me how much they're touched after my performances. I mean, they love the records too, but I think when you see an artist live, and that's the proof in the pudding, can the artist deliver live? And I'm blessed to, be able to touch people, and I love that aspect of my career. The live element is absolutely dynamic. I can't wait to hit the stage tonight.
So, what advice do you have for artists that want to be where you are?
You have to have the eye of the tiger. It's not easy at all. It's like my advice is like, if you say you want to give it, say 2 years, you might as well just find something else to do. I've been doing this stuff my whole life, over 30 years. So it's a grind, and a lot of times, when you see singers or instrumentalists, that really made it, they didn't make it yesterday. They put in a whole lot of time. So you have to have a passion for what you do. You have to have the eye of the tiger for what you do. And like George Benson told me, because he's on, one of my records, he says, Johnny, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. So, I always think about that. I do believe in myself, and I do appreciate all the fans that spent their hard-earned money to come out tonight for this Valentine's Day show. So, you have to have the eye of the tiger. You have to have a fire, to just really want to succeed and really want to do it even when you don't want to.
Johnny, he was phenomenal, and everybody just kept coming up to say, man, Johnny Britt, and he gave a phenomenal show, and he kept telling everybody, yeah, I'll be back. So I guess he'll be back.
And a lot of people were fascinated that he has Louisville ties.
Yeah, born at General Hospital. Mm-hmm. We'll take another break, and we'll be right back.
Morning show is the best that there is. Period.
Don't you make me.
Oh, I ain't working around. We are here as usual.
That's too much. This the one.
We right here.
You wake up and catch me from 6 to 10 on your number one station for R&B, Magic 101.
So coming up now is an interview with someone that was very, very, very involved with the civil rights movement, and it all happened down at Roots 101 and with the Deltas. Take a look at this. Here with Don Hall Bibb, who is the president of Delta Sigma Theta here in Louisville, the alumni chapter, and you all have a great event going on here today. So tell us how it all came about.
Well, it came about because I feel that, there's pieces of Black history that still are alive, but we don't hear them or see about it. So I met with Loki Mulholland and talked about his mom possibly coming here. And from there, it all evolved, and it is what it is now. So we're doing something at tonight here. And then on tomorrow at Bellarmine University at 6 p.m. It's called Standing for Justice, a talk with a freedom rider. And his mom, Joan Trumpauer Mulholland, will be there tomorrow to share her experience and her motivations, and hopefully to motivate and inspire others to also want to do something or continue to do things for Black history and civil rights.
And speaking of civil rights, the Divine Nine has always been a crucial part of that. So for those who don't know, tell them how the Divine Nine as an organization gets involved and keeps the communities connected.
Well, one thing is that every organization, I would say in the Divine Nine, seeks to look for, again, like civil rights actions that go on. So whether they do sponsor events in the community, they host events in the community, they participate in marches, they hold just even like political activity events. Like, for example, we have something coming up called Women on the Run, encouraging women to get more involved with politics, and also not only just politics, but in their communities, how they can become socialists and activists within their communities to make their communities better. And I believe every Divine Nine organization has a thread of social action. And so that is how we're trying to stay engaged and stay in the community to keep our community lifted, because there's a lot going on to kick us down and to keep us down, but we will continue to operate in our resilience that we have and continue to keep hope alive, and with all the other activities that we have going on as well.
We're here at Roots 101, and I'm here with Lamont Collins, who is the owner, director, the proprietor, everything that makes Roots 101 happen. And welcome back to Urban Lifestyle.
It's a pleasure to be on Urban Lifestyle. You've been doing it a long time, man. You've been doing it right. So, I interview with a lot of people, but when you call, you're always first on my list.
Thank you so much. So tell us about this event that's going on today and why it's so important for the community.
Well, this event's so important because, first, it's a collaboration with the black organizations, Delta Sigma Theta. The second thing, or maybe the most important thing to me, it's dealing with allies. When we're talking about the guest that's coming today, it's a white ally, somebody that risks everything to do the right thing. And we always have to tell that story because America keeps trying to tell the story of black history is the divider in this country. But black history and white history is a motivator to this country to be what it is today. And we get to symbolize that today.
And I know you're not going to steal the speaker's thunder, but tell us a little bit about what we can expect.
Well, her son would speak today because of airplane problems. He won't get here. Her son is Loki. Loki is a white man that joined the Mega Sci-Fi. So it kind of speaks to itself, the commitment and what's inside of him. And I think his mom, who was the first white member of Delta Sigma Theta, a freedom rider. And when you think about being in a family that legacy continues to say America's better together, then they have to be at Roots 101.
Well, I'm here with Loki, who is the son of Joan Trumpire Mulholland, and she has a very interesting story, and because she's your mom, you're a part of that story. So I know she got hung up in the airport because of travel, because it's that time of year.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what she would have told us?
Well, I've learned a long time ago not to speak for my mom, but what she would tell us? It's history isn't finished; it's waiting for us, and that now is always the right time to do something, and that's what we need to be doing. And, as you see, all the deltas are here and stuff, and that's what this is all about. Is the soars of Delta Sigma Theta know how to get it done, and this is it always sounds like we're in the fight of our life, but we are.
So tell us a little bit about her story.
Okay. Well, by the time my mom was 19 years old, she'd been involved in over 36 sit-ins and protests when she joined the Freedom Rides, and they took that famous mugshot of her and then put her on death row. But she was shot at, attacked, cursed at, put on the Klan's most wanted list and hunted down for execution. And she's one of these sort of unique individuals that was connected to so many different people and events. If you name a person, like from Dr. King to Medgar Evers to Fannie Lou Hamer to John Lewis to Andrew Young, the list goes on and on. Or from the sit-ins to the Freedom Rise to the March on Washington, she was connected to all of that.
And then, as we go full circle about her association with Delta Sigma Theta.
Mm-hmm. And what about it? I'm sorry? What was the question in that?
I said, what was her connection, Delta Sigma Theta, when?
Oh, April 6, 1963, Tougaloo College, Gamma Psi.
And what was it like for her, being a white female joining a African-American sorority back in the 60s?
Well, someone asked her that once, says, why'd you join a black sorority? She said, well, I was at a black college, what else would I join? Right? And quite frankly, the same people that were in those civil rights meetings were Deltas. And there wasn't much of a difference between a Delta meeting and a civil rights meeting. So it was just a natural progression for her to become a Delta, and her roommates were Deltas, and it's just the way it went, And
so wasn't it great to learn about her, Joan, civil rights? We learned about her when we went to the National African American Museum in D.C.
Right.
And that's the first time I was exposed to her. But her plane got held up, but her son did a very good job. And her son is also one of the Divine Nine. And it's just everybody that had skin in the game and for everything that she did, it was like, wow.
Yeah, she had just such a strong testimony, and to hear it through her son, who of course was living it with her, it's just a great story.
And she's my soror.
Yes. We'll take another break, and we'll be right back.
Morning show is the best that there is. Period.
Don't you make me.
Oh, I ain't working around. We are here as usual.
That's too much. This the one.
We right here.
You wake up and catch me from 6 to 10 on your number one station for R&B, Magic 101.
Well, as we said, we had a phenomenal show on February 14th. Another fantastic artist that we had also made his return with us is Bob Baldwin, who is a phenomenal keyboardist. So take a look at this. Keyboard extraordinaire Bob Baldwin. And no, I'm not Denise. We were supposed to be having this competition, but of course, the way things go, she's doing some last minute things. So Bob, great catching up again, and welcome back.
It's a pleasure, man. Always good to see you, brother.
So what we do, we call it 10 questions in 5 minutes. So we're just gonna ask you some things, have some fun, and let people know a little bit about you. So first of all, when did you know that music was going to be your career?
Probably about 30 years ago. My first record came out in 1988. I was working a full-time job at the time, and decided to take the plunge in the early 90s. So here I am 30 some odd years later, 38 CDs later.
And when did you know that you were going to be a keyboard artist?
Well, my dad taught me how to play when I was very young. I first touched the piano at age 5, so he brought me into the mold very, very early and taught me a lot of great jazz. I grew up listening to Oscar Peterson and Art Tatum and so many other great pianists. So I grew up on the original jazz format.
I know as you said, you've been around a long time. So is there anybody out there that you haven't collaborated with that you'd like to?
I like working with different keyboard players. So I've almost did a gig with and a record with Jeff Lorber years ago, but didn't happen. Hopefully, it will happen in the near future. I love Ileana Elias, Pat Metheny's on my list, so I got a few that I still haven't worked with.
One thing I always ask everybody: what was it like the first time you heard your music on the radio?
It was a shock. I was actually driving to work, listening to it in the morning in New York, at CD 101.9. Pat Prescott, who's a dear friend of mine even today, broke the record in New York. It was a fun experience. It was quite an honor.
And I have to ask, do you ever get tired of being on the road? Because it seems like you're always touring. Because I follow you and I see you're here, you're there, you're out of the country. Does it ever get tired?
I don't work as much as a lot of guys do. I mean, I've seen guys do 200 gigs a year. I haven't been on that level yet. So. It's not, I do just enough to not, burn myself out, but, I offset it by doing a lot of recordings at home and around the world.
Now, I know when you do shows, you've got music out there and expands the years, and I know there's certain songs that people, they come to your show because they want to hear it. So what's one of your favorite songs to play for the crowd?
Good question. It's a tune called The Way She Looked at Me, was pretty popular back in the day, but they like my arrangements of People Make the World Go Round and Summer Breeze. Those are the three big tunes that they ask for.
So if there's another group of young people that are coming up, going into the music industry, want to be a keyboard artist success like you, what advice do you have for them?
Well, more important than the instrument itself is to learn the business. Because if you don't learn the business, you won't have the sustenance and the longevity. So learn the business, understand how accounting works, understand how management works, understand how to be appreciative of working with different people, just being polite and being a good person. And of course, practice, a few hours a day, and the combination of all those things will eventually develop a career for yourself.
So is there, I guess I'm asking, are you in the studio now? You working on anything?
I am working on the studio. I'm in the studio now working on two albums, actually. One is a contemporary smooth and Brazilian record, and the other one's got more vocals on it. So I do a record every 3-4 years called New Urban Jazz, which is a fusion of urban and contemporary jazz. So that'll come out this summer. The one that's coming out now is going to be more of an instrumental.
And I think the last question is, who's been some of your biggest influences throughout the years?
Well, I've really been affixed to artists that hold on to their recordings, because I see that when you don't do that, there's a lot of trauma on the back end. So I love what Prince has done. I love what Ray Charles did. Jackie Wilson, Bob James on a contemporary side. So those are the ones that I really hone after, because I think at the end of the day it's about giving something back to your family when you're done recording, when you're done touring. A lot of guys, they walk away from the business and they own nothing, which is really sad.
Speaking of Destination Smooth Jazz 2026, we have a great series planned. And coming up on June the 6th, we have Lynn Roundtree and Jeanette Harris. On September the 5th, we've got Marcus Anderson and Andrea Lisa. And on December the 5th, closing out the year, we've got Mike Phillips and Felicia Ray.
And I know you're feeling pretty good about Marcus Anderson because he's a Cap.
Yes, he is a Cap, and he'll probably do a little shimmy on stage as well. But 3 great shows. Yeah. Tickets go on sale for the June 6th show on March the 1st. You can get them at eventbrite.com or Better Days Records at 921 Barrett Avenue. I think that's our show.
Ooh, and that's our time.
And we'll see you back here next time on Urban Lifestyles. And remember to take the shot.
Bye.
Bye. Stay safe.